You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews like Hunter Biggie, for example. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy, Evan Closky.
Back again. We appreciate it, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember those early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our sixth season covering the Rays daily.
And every season they've gone to the playoffs, but highly likely not in 2024. However, you can still watch Rays baseball. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on the X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. Prize Picks, run your game. Do you think Stu plays Prize Picks, Kevin?
I do. Absolutely. Gotta increase that income for sure. Evan, the first week of the college football season has concluded, and I have a very cheeky question for you, and that is this. What is more disappointing, the 2024 Rays season or the FSU Seminoles 2024 season to date?
Oh, it's easily FSU.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's not get – one's disastrous. The other is just, what I mean.
He's a reboot.
Yeah.
Heads aren't rolling with the Rays. No managers or front offices.
Heads won't roll with FSU, but it's number one biggest disappointment entering college football season. I wouldn't say that the Rays are necessarily doing something that was like, whoa, I couldn't see this coming. So,
yeah. All right, there we go. All right, we have a general topic to discuss with you, and because the 2024 campaign for the Rays is pretty much all over and done with, not really too much to play for here. We're just going to go ahead and throw it out there, give our early look at 2025. And the question is this, and we put it out on social media. We'll get those comments and react to them as such. But what do you believe that the Rays will have to do this offseason to not only make the playoffs in 2025, but actually capture the division in 2025? So leapfrogging the Orioles, leapfrogging the Yankees, and all the other teams in that division.
I don't know if there's like a magical answer out there. You're gonna need a little luck, whether that's injury luck, whether that's the other teams having bad injury luck, or other teams kind of losing within the margins. It just they're just so capped with what they can do financially speaking that it's hard to ever project them to be the winner until you finally have this swath of talent that comes up a la Baltimore, right? I mean, Baltimore just a couple of years ago lost all but one game to the Rays. And then, a couple of years later, it just completely has flipped. So, I don't know what they're going to be. They're already doing what is necessary with the rotation. We already believe they have a world-class starting rotation entering next season with depth. You probably have to make sure that you have another rock-solid relief pitching arm back there. And then you need to add homers. You need to add slugging. I don't care how you do it, but you're going to have to replace some of these tweeners that play amazing defense and don't provide any offense. You need to provide someone who can bash the dang ball over the fence or get you consistent doubles, because without that, this whatever you're doing defensively, it's just not going to work. And it's definitely not going to work come playoff time. So if you get like what we see, if you get through to the playoffs, these guys aren't capable of hitting the best of the best. And you're just praying to get hot at the right time. And yes, that is a part of it. You have to get hot at the right time. Certain team, like I don't think many people had Arizona going to the World Series last year, but they figured it out. But you still need kind of like these go-to pieces who you can rely on and just say, like, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, they'll be able to hit. And too many guys where we just know they're not going to hit. I mean, you can't say like, oh, let's get to the playoffs and hope that Taylor Walls turns into a 300 hitter, right? This is not going to happen. He's going to face elite velo. He doesn't really do good with that. And by the way, Walls, who hasn't been awful in the playoffs compared to some other players, to be honest, he's been all right. But I'm just using him as an example. But what are you hoping for? He draws a couple of walks and a steal and I like small ball to a degree, but it can't be the whole team. So, you need injury luck, probably one more stud reliever, homers. And I don't know if they're going to be able – they certainly can handle the arms. I don't know how they're going to inject enough oomph in a lineup to make it sing.
Home runs obviously is definitely something that they're lacking. I think they're bottom 5 in all MLB throughout the season, but that usually comes with a cost, and it usually is a financial one, and it is one that you said that they are not, used to do, which is give out big contracts. So let's put that into context here. If they don't like to spend so much money, if home runs cost a lot of money, is there another way that the Rays could potentially fix this offense without bringing in home run power that costs a lot of money?
Now, they could theoretically do a 1+1 deal with like a Teoscar Hernandez. I just don't know. There's not many options to where they can go out there and find the homers. And you want to find the other way, it's get on base more. With the amount of speed that you have, get on base more. If you get on base more, that leads to more steals. If you get on base more, it leads to more run production. So if you want to up the average of the team, sure, I can see that. Stop, look, a lot of times, you look at average and then you got to look at, OBP, because we've talked about it, right? You can have Harold Ramirez who gets a bunch of hits but doesn't walk. Then you have Taylor Walls who gets a bunch of walks and doesn't hit. The only problem is if you get a bunch of walks and you don't hit, you're not driving in that runner from second. Maybe it's a guy on second, no outs, or a guy on second, no outs, 1 out, 2. I guess it doesn't really matter. And you just trickle on over to first base. But if you can have a high average, low OBP guy, then all of a sudden you get that single, and then boom, the run scores. So I don't know. You got to put it all into a hopper. I would ask of the team is they gotta, and I've asked for 2 years, you gotta reduce the redundancy. You can't go all in on defense if they're all bad at offense.
Yes.
You need to be defensively focused. And as I've stated before, I'm okay with just Surrey next year. I'm okay with just Walls. I'm okay with just DeLuca. But it can't be DeLuca, Walls, Surrey. That's just a bad combo.
And have a lineup 6, 7, 8, 9 that like no pitcher at all is even shaking.
And it's a bunch of strikeouts outside of DeLuca, by the way, who actually does put the ball in play. But it's who cares when you're hitting sub 200? So,
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports with over 5 million active members. Kevin, do you think there's more than 5 million Colts fans?
I hope so.
You would hope so. Hope so. Are they going to have a good season this year?
I hope so. I think they will. Based on my fantasy football draft picks, I took a lot of Colts players. So that is the goal here.
Well, guess what? Maybe you can take Kevin Weiss's advice and go on Price Picks and do a lot of Price Picks playing with Colts players. You could do that, even if you're a Bucks fan, right? You just want to win, and you can do that at Price Picks. In fact, they have this. Okay, so you can, unlike other apps, it's just you against the numbers, which is pretty fun. So today, there's no time to delay. Download the Price Picks app and use code locked on MLB. Get $50 instantly. Okay, like that when you play $5. That's code locked on MLB on Price Picks to get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, and more things in life should be guaranteed, people. Price Picks, run your game.
To me, the biggest critique of the Rays is that they kind of have a bunch of these quality 40-man guys and they have a quantity of them and not enough quality. And, when you look at those types and you kind of even add like Ronnie Simon and Ulises Basabe, it's just like it keeps adding up to like these similar, like, it's just incomplete players. I don't know what they're saying. They don't like. It's not good enough. And I believe more in the swath coming up, like the double A, the single A guys. Everybody that they've invested in, like they got this really strong farm, and it's gonna come. It will help them out a lot. It's just right now, I think that you're not really going to see the fruits of their minor league labor probably until 2026 to the fullest, right? Like I expect to see Chandler Simpson next year at some point. Do I expect to see anybody else? As of right now, I can't say so. Like if they are scorching hot to begin the year, like if Carson Williams is going to go April through June crushing AAA pitching, maybe, but he also kind of like was hot as a pistol and he's still in AA. So, I mean, then he cooled off significantly. But it's just
also like Junior. Like if we just take Junior as an example because it's a recent example, he wasn't making the opening day roster, and he's Junior Caminero. So like Chandler Simpson
and he would
Williams.
Junior was going to be on the team much earlier in the season if he didn't have the quad issues.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I see a lot of people complaining about that. It's just he was significantly injured this year, and he would have absolutely been up sooner if not for the fact that he got hurt. So
yeah.
What I'm hearing from all this is just like the Rays' chances of making the playoffs this year, which according to Fangraphs is 0.9%, and their percentage chance of winning the World Series is 0.0%. Not as bad as the Blue Jays as far as making the playoffs goes. That's 0.2%. It is a long shot that the Rays are going to or have a chance to win the division in 2025. That is something we should set our sights on in 26, 27, when the reinforcements of Carson Williams, Xavier Isaac, so on and so forth, may be expected to make an impact.
Yeah, I think that they're, and that's not to say they're not a playoff team next year. It's just
right.
To me,
I'm just
trending,
saying win the division outright.
Yeah, I think that their World Series ceiling and winning the division outright, all of that, I think starting in 26, we're going to get cooking with gas. And that's not to say that it's going to really fully open, because Carson Williams got to come up and he's going to struggle. And, these kids, they're going to learn, like the discrepancy between AAA and Major League Baseball is just enormous. So there's going to be a learning curve, and it's not going to go over too well. That's the thing about some of these Orioles players. They were, like some of these guys, when you're like a top 5-ish prospect, you're going to adjust pretty well to the majors. When you're even if you're top 100, it doesn't really guarantee much. And a lot of what the Rays have added in their farm system, outside of maybe an Xavier Isaac, they have gone for players who kind of are 5 tools. And I want at least a guy And juniors, I mean, guys like Junior are hard to find, but you
want a thumper.
There's a thumper, but also it gets to the point of like they're spraying so much along these lines of the 5-tool guys. I'm waiting to see proof in the pudding. I'm waiting this, and maybe Carson Williams is that guy. I don't know. Like, we think he could be, but like Adrian Santana, like he has significantly gotten better the second half of the year in Charleston, but he's not going to profile as a significant bat. He's a glove. Barrios, who they traded for with Savali, he's not going to profile as a significant bat. He's just not. Like, it's like
frustrating.
It's just like it's so much of the same thing. Redundancy is my number one word with the Rays. Redundant. And I get it. If you throw, 20 darts at the board, 2 of them should stick. But I would rather them take a risk or two on someone who can provide help in slugging versus just these kind of all-around guys who, time and time again recently, we've just seen them sputter.
So you're saying go out and get Willy Adames, who is a free agent this offseason, right?
Not going to happen, especially because he can't hit in the drop, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not open that can of worms, people.
I was just that was all in jest. I was just giving
the
respect.
The splits are the splits.
That he's on.
The splits are the splits.
That is facts. Yeah.
Redundancy is a key word, and guess what? Our listeners on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, they came out, and the theme was redundant. Let's go over them. Here we go with Power Punk and Race Fanatic 92 says bats, pitching will be fine, and center fielder give chances to Mangum, Shenton, Mead, Cash on Yandy while we can. So a little Yandy trade. Do you think that's gonna? What do you think about that?
So I'm confused. He wants those people in center, or is he just saying center field in general? Because, I mean, Shenton's a first base, third base. Mead's a second base, third base.
I think it's just improve center field and give chances to those younger players.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like
here's my thing. Like, everyone loves Mangum, right? They brought up I would have liked for them to at least try Meisner out, but Meisner had 15 at bats and struck out in 10 of them. Like, you eventually you got to make the best with the opportunities you get, and a lot of times Rays bring up people and they just don't. Like, I'm still waiting for Aranda to take advantage of his opportunities, even though I'm a staunch believer in him. At some point, you still got to do it, right? He's north of 200 at bats. Like, bro, you've gotten a lot. Like, not like Walls, who's 1,000 at bats, but you've gotten like 200 plus at bats, and you still aren't producing. So September, you got to show something. Mangum, I don't think his profile as a center fielder just in general, but Mangum's hitting 320 in AAA, right? I understand the arguments of why the hell not just bring him up and play him, but he's also an OPS of 794.
Right.
He's a singles guy. He's a single. If they thought he was a thing and a part of their future, they would have brought him up already.
Yeah. And
the truth is, my assumption is he would come up and, he'd spray some singles here or there, but does that really? I've been ranting about slugging percentage, home runs. That's not what they need. Could he get a couple more hits? Absolutely. Do I think he's some person that is going to be a part of the Rays' future? I don't. So, I get the thought about Shenton and Mead. I would personally love to see more of them. I would. Shenton and Mead, they're on the 40-man. Mead, top 100 prospect. He should be playing more. He should be getting time now.
Yeah.
But the problem is the Rays have boxed themselves in, and this is what they do. They when you're redundant and you get the same type of talent, look at this. You're all boxed in, which is why Isak had to go, right? You boxed yourself in you had a good player and a great player, and you had to trade a good player to fit the great player. And
I don't agree with Isak being cornered. Brandon Lau is now moving to first. You could move Isak to second. You can have him first, DH. Like, I don't think with that particular case you can be like, we got to get rid of the all-star that hits 30 bombs, guys. We just have to.
I also, again, going back to one of my old rants, I mean, his hitting profile is too scary to keep long-term.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just
saying that, like, theoretically, if he played left field, maybe
I do not want to see Isak Perez in left field.
No. I'm just saying, like, the fact. My point is, though, and not to mention, what do you have coming down the chute? Right, you got Braden Taylor, Trey Morgan, Xavier Isaac. You got log jams coming.
Hey, that's
assuming that they can produce, because we keep saying we got guys coming and they don't do crap.
You're right. Xavier Edwards, Taylor Walls were supposed to be things like, and where are we right now?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. Pop up the next one. Hey King says, here's a good start with a graphic of Travis d'Arnaud. Well, maybe Logan Driscoll can be our Travis d'Arnaud.
There you go.
Shout out to a friend of the pod.
Yes.
So,
I mean,
Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you are purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and so much more. It's about time you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. And right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
I don't know what they're going to do at catcher. I've already stated that they need to fix it desperately. And, not to mention that Travis d'Arnaud is not going to, make a grandiose difference in the whole scheme of things. You need at catcher, I want a great defensive catcher, and B, I don't care what your average is, just hit a bunch of homers. But, again, if you're going to do that, then I can't have Jose Siri out there in center field being, I don't care what your average is, hit a bunch of homers. So that's
redundancy, baby. Yeah, we got it.
It's all they do. But catchers, that's typically the profile of a catcher. I mean, you're like, think about like the star catchers. Either you're going to have to get them on the internationally or top of the draft board, and not even overall. Yeah, and not even top of the draft. Always you're seeing like a Joey Bart who can't, who's in Pittsburgh right now, didn't really stick. So
I guess the idea is if a team that drafted one of those guys at the top of the board and they're willing to trade him, is like, well, maybe there's something wrong with this guy. Why are they so quick to push him off on some other organization?
Or you just, it's a
log jam.
You have to spend a good amount of money. But yeah, that's the Rays need to invest in a long-term solution. I don't know. Dominic Keegan is it?
Yeah.
But I would love to find just a guy that they can lock in back there, but they haven't done it for pretty much their whole existence. So I just already know what's coming there.
Oh, the wound is always going to be very, very clear for us there, Rays fans. Ty McCann, who is a friend of the pod. Well, Kevin, look what he says. He's going with Evan's second option.
Oh, you want me to read that? Or
That was me.
Okay,
I
sorry,
was
yeah,
looping you.
Ty McCann. Yeah, Ty McCann says for people that are listening and not watching on the YouTubes, focus on hitting first and power second. The home runs and extra base hits will come, but not if you aren't putting the ball in play.
That's just, with all due respect, that doesn't make any sense to me.
You'd rather just have a bunch of Zuninos.
How is the power going to come? Like, you just do generate power off a bunch of hits? Like, it's a totally different process. You either got to sell out for the power or you got to get the hits. But philosophically speaking, you should have early in counts an A swing, and then later in counts a B and a C swing. And that as you lose a strike, you're a little bit more defensive. So if you want to say, hey, early in the counts, aim for power. Later in the counts, play against shades or, protect. Put the ball in play. That I understand more. But no, they need power. And you don't just generate power because you put the ball in play. You can pop. I mean, look at Johnny DeLuca. He puts the ball in play a ton of times.
Look at Harold Ramirez.
Although 2023, man, he was special.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some special moments for sure. But yeah, I'm of the belief that you get power and then you build around power, right?
Then you teach them to have a two-strike approach, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole separate thing of, I don't think, I do think that the Rays make their hitters too one-dimensional, and they're, easy.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of argument. I don't know. I'm listening to Fred McGriff on the radio the other day, being like, I don't get it. I'm staring at a lineup full of 200s. Like, try something different. Yeah. If Fred McGriff is saying that,
right,
it validates some of the thoughts that we have on
future hitting coach Fred McGriff, perhaps.
Yeah. So I mean, and we talked about that of maybe Matola gets another year, but it's I don't know how much more you can give him than next year. Like, next year is
been long.
If it's not changing, we're making a change mid-season sort of deal. So, I'm okay with him staying, but it's not going to be like you're surefire here the rest of the season. So, that's.
All right. Next comments here. One from Matt Hall. Siri, Walls need to go. Bats are needed. Maybe sacrifice some defense, bring in a big DH, and then La Gayaba says T Walls replaced by Aranda. In what way, I ask, but okay. Siri traded or released Palacios.
I need to write this down.
Bilao only back if we cannot get Soto or Alonso. Promote Keegan. Uceta is closer if Pete injured. Littell and Raz long relief, especially if Shane Mack isn't back. DeLuca center fielder until Chandler promotion. 2025 champs. There's a lot to unpack.
Hold on a second.
And let's just go point by point here.
We can.
There's
all right. So I don't even know if I have to mention the bottom one.
Just throw that one.
Let me just go quickly here. Jonathan Aranda is a first baseman. He's terrible defensively, and you want to replace him with Taylor Walls. Big no.
Don't get that. Yeah.
So you can get rid of Walls, but that makes no sense. You're not getting Soto. You're almost certainly not getting Alonso. I don't know where you've ever watched the Tampa Bay Rays and said, "Oh, this team spent a boatload of money on free agents." But
we almost spent a boatload of money on.
Yeah, players. we've heard a lot of that. I haven't seen a lot of
MLB The Show, maybe that's where.
Yeah, so
they go look at a car, but ultimately don't buy it. So
until they do it, I ain't gonna believe it's happening.
Uh-huh.
So whatever. And you want to call up a double-A catcher for reasons unbeknownst to me, whatever. Just a lot no with that. With all due respect. Then, so my thing is with Siri and first off, they're not getting a DH only person. This team loves versatility. They're not going to box themselves in with just a DH. They don't. It's a silly investment to make. The DH would have to be an easy 30 home run sort of person to obtain the value necessary to play every day as a DH and limit the roster construction that you want to do on a day in and day out. Philosophically speaking, doesn't work for them. And with Siri and Walls, it's like, okay, you want to replace them. And I'm not saying that you're wrong for saying that. What I'm saying is with who? It's so easy for people to say, release them, trade them, get rid of them. What are your other options?
Right.
Because you can't sacrifice all the defense. You can sacrifice a little bit, but it has to, you can't just get a dud in there either, especially because the Rays are going to have to bolster defense in other areas as well. And that's really the problem, is that they're great defensively. So DeLuca, Siri, Walls, even Jackson, those are some of your best defensive players. But when you go and you look at the other players, they're not good enough defensively speaking. And the problem is those guys need to be better when it comes down to providing offense. So it's like Brandon Lau does his job offensively speaking in the aggregate, even though he's not the world's best defensive player. Yandy is teetering towards a point where I don't know if he makes much sense anymore, considering he doesn't have the power necessary at that position. A lot of other teams are getting 20, 25, 30 homers out of their first baseman. The Rays are getting the 15? essentially what like maybe like a great second or shortstop, like high average, low homers, right? Like you shouldn't be getting that. It's just that's why I love Yandy, but his profile.
Especially because you have no other positions that are providing what you need from the first base side. That's what's happening.
Yeah, so it just they in the end. That's why it's so tough to have like a black and white statement, because it's like, if this, then what? If that, then what? You want to do this, then what? So it's like, it can't just be like get rid of Walls and Siri for bad defensive options, because sure, now you got some 230, 240 hitters. Awesome. You just toasted yourself in the field, and fans don't necessarily get how much fielding matters, like in the grand scheme. All they care about is when they look at the box score and they see you went 0 for 4. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter when you stare at Taylor Walls' average. That matters. But, there are games that he saves along the way, or he makes plays along the way that other shortstops don't make, and you don't register that because he made the play, and you're like, oh, he made the play, whatever. All right, cool. Yep. Right? There's no stress in that. Oh, he made the play. So, but you will get pissed off when they don't make a lot of plays. I guarantee you that. And so when that happens and they start losing ball games because of bad fielding, I just don't want to hear complaints, because and I'm okay to sacrifice some defense for offense. I just want to know what the solutions are when you say throw them away.
Aesthetically, I'd like to see a lot more runs scored and take on a few errors with that.
I would too.
The product is...
I'm with you. You got to get the right options. Right. So I like, in a vacuum, yes, but a lot of times it's saying like get rid of these people, and I don't think they understand. It's like, but what's coming in? Because if you're just going to get me a 220 hitter who's not that good defensively, I'd rather keep Siri, and that's the reality. So that's why we got to have names with these options. It can't just be get rid of them, because that doesn't really provide for a really hearty conversation of solution.
Right.
Solving.
Evan, what we need is Kevin to get in contact with his best friend, Stu Sternberg.
Stu Sternberg, that's my plug of information. Evan, before we wrap things up here, I have another college football, baseball related question, and that is this. What is more likely to happen? The Rays make the playoffs in 2024, or our USF Bulls defeating Alabama in prime time?
Latter.
USF beating Alabama, because the Rays are not making the postseason. So I'll give a shout out to Alex Golish and the boys, because I know definitely one. Even as 30-point underdogs, I'll just go with the uncertainty of the other.
Fair enough. Boston College beat FSU, so it can happen.
They weren't 30-point dogs, and FSU is not Alabama.
If people want to find out more about what you can provide them of knowledge, Evan, where can they find your work?
At Closky WTSP on the X. Also, head on over to 10 Tampa Bay Plus, 10tampabay.com, and our YouTube page. We just aired our season primer of The Blitz, talking about the upcoming Buccaneers season. So we have that up right now. We also air on Sundays on 10 Tampa Bay at 8:30 in the morning. We'll get you prepared for the Washington Commanders home opener with the Bucs this weekend. But yeah, always happy to engage with fans, have conversations. To 99% of you, if you're a jerk, you will be the 1%, and then you probably will get blocked, and then you'll probably create another name to yell at me. But as long as you're not a jerk, like, we good, and don't take my tone wrong. All right, I promise it ain't that serious.
I bet some of the college football fans in Florida have come out for you over the last couple of days, I'm guessing.
Ooh.
Oh no, I mean, what? I don't have. Honestly, Gator. You can't. A Gator fan is going to tell you worse about their team than me. A Knowles fan is going to tell you worse about their team than me. Yeah. So, and honestly, I don't think many people disagree with my Rays takes. It's more so with the inability to see it their way. In when I'm giving a take.
Well, on that note, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and
it's all
we'll talk
love
to you later on. Yeah,
that's right.
There we go. All right. See you later.